Okay, fine. So last time when we started like exception handling, right? Like we had some, I
Yeah.
mean, two exceptions. One is arithmetic exception, and second one is array index out of bound exception,
Right.
like try and catch. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Let's suppose there is a scenario we have not provided. We provided, I mean, exception handling like arithmetic exception and bound array index out of bound exception, but there is some unknown exception came.
Okay.
Still, we provided some try catch, but the unknown exception came, and we have to do some task, but we have not done because of that exception raised, and we have to do some mandatory things, but we are not able to do. But how to do mandatory things even though exception occur? Let me show some example. So this is the one Java exception. So go back to our class. So what I want to do, I want to create one more class, exception manager 2.
Okay.
So the scenario is, so even though after providing the try catch, but due to some other exception, we have not handled that new exception, some other exception. So our program is failing and we are not doing some mandatory thing. So how to handle that one? This is the one. Let me clear this. Okay, so far it's fine, right? So let's suppose take this scenario. Integer x equal to 10. The same example.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm printing this value x by 10. Simple one. So here there may be a chance raising arithmetic exception, right?
Yes.
Sorry,
No.
10 by x.
And
So here if x equal to 0, then we will get arithmetic exception. So by considering that one, we need to provide the try catch.
okay.
Okay. So after that, try followed by catch.
Yes.
And inside the catch, we need to mention what is the exception name, arithmetic. Arithmetic exception. And the arithmetic exception, just we are printing here. Exception occurred. I'm not able to see time. Okay, exception occurred. And we need to display the message. So that what I'm trying to do, e dot get message.
Message.
So that it will display the corresponding message.
Right.
You dot get message. So this is the main proper one. Let's suppose instead of arithmetic exception, I had given some wrongly array index out of bound. Just assume. So we have written now. Now let me run this program. So now we are getting some output. This is fine, right? So program is executing successful and we are getting output. So just imagine. So so we are getting, I mean, we are getting output and we are displaying it. After that, what I want to do, I have to close the database connection here. Let's suppose I'm not writing the code, just commenting db
Okay.
connection need to close here and sys out.
Okay.
So just to understanding purpose, db connection closed. Okay, now what I will run this program again.
Okay.
Okay, now it's, I mean, everything executing successfully. First we are running this piece of code, it's executed successfully. After that we are closing the database connection also.
Okay.
So far it's fine. Just imagine suddenly the input came as a 0. Now run this program again back. So now program is not executing, also db is not closing.
Yes.
So it's failing and program is failing and db connection is not closing. But this is mandatory whether the program is executing or not. We have to close the connection, otherwise so many connections will be still in open mode, so that
Okay.
will give performance issue. So how to handle these mandatory things even though exception occurred? So for this purpose there is some other keyword called finally.
Okay.
Just open finally, open bracket and close bracket. So what do you mean? So this mandatory things just keep in finally block after try catch followed by finally. So whether exception occurred or not,
Okay.
always this piece of code will execute.
Okay. Okay.
So let's suppose in this scenario I will run this program again and let's see. You see there, exception occurred but database
Closed.
closed. So database closed successfully. So whether exception occurred or not, always this piece of code will execute. So this is some negative scenario. Let's suppose give you some proper input. So let's see here in this case whether it will execute or not.
Okay.
Let me run it again. See now always database is closing.
Right.
So that is the purpose of this finally block. So let's suppose whenever you want to execute a mandated thing, whether exception occurred or not, you can keep that kind of activities inside finally block. It's mainly used like to close the files or to close the database connections, such kind of things. You need to write here inside the finally block. So the order of this block is first to try, after that catch, after that finally. So this is the order. And like I said, we can keep n number of catch blocks. So I can keep here uh, arithmetic exception. So e dot get message. So this is the main purpose of finally block. Okay,
Yeah.
this is clear, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's suppose let me write one other method. Public int get average v or some get average. Okay, this is my average. Okay, this is a simple method and we need to pass some input here, some number. Okay, so it's supposed to return? It will return integer. Okay,
Integer.
okay, let me declare some integer avg equal to 0 and return avg. So just we have written a simple method and inside that we are returning some average integer. Let me move this piece of code to here. Just everything I'm moving to here. Okay, so now I need to return the integer, right? Let's suppose first I want to return if everything is successful, then I want to return here. Okay, see here. So now first what I'm trying to do, so let me remove this one and x equal to number by 1000 by number. Okay, sorry, average. So how I'm calculating the average? 1000 by input number, whatever you are giving, that I want to divide it by, I want to divide it with number, input number. So that number I'm assigning to average. After that I'm trying to return.
Yep.
After the, but see, it's not allowing. The method must return a results of integer. Means whenever you are trying to return a value, so that value must be end of the statement also, otherwise the compiler will not allow. See, the method must return a result type of it. So but still we are returning the integer right here, but still the compiler is not allowing. So whenever you are keeping a return value, if in case of try catch, we have to keep at the end also. This is one way to compile this program. Either you have to keep,
Is it a law? Is it actually the
it's a
rules?
rule, basically it's a rules.
Okay.
So basically you have to keep at the end. So this is first one way, or else you can keep in two ways.
Two ways.
Sorry, this is second. Or else if you don't want to keep here, you can keep avg. This is third. So why we need to keep here, right? Let's suppose there is some exception came here. Okay, then this line will not execute, right?
Right.
And these all lines will execute. Also,
Right.
this will execute and it will return the value.
Yeah. But it giving some actually.
So this is it's a warning. It's not an error. It's a warning.
So warning actually during warning program will run and give the result.
Program will run successfully, but the problem is here, right? So whatever the value you are getting here, but always this one will return. It will not return. Let's suppose here you are trying to return. I will show you the example. Here I am returning 100.
Okay.
Here I am returning 101. So always you will get output as a 101. Why? First it will execute.
Because the first one will try if something else, then go to the catch and the final.
Correct. Finally will execute always and it will give the results. So let me call this one and we will see the static. Static. This is a static block. So I can call from here. So let me write one sys out and get average, pass some 10 and let me run it. We will see whether we are getting 100 or 101. What value we'll get, we will see the output. See here, we are trying to return 100, but what we are getting?
101.
So that is the warning. So why it is giving warning? Even though you are returning 100, but still always, so it will override and 101 will be written.
Yes. So why is warning actually?
Yeah, that's what this is a warning, because you are trying to return here, but there is no use of this return.
Okay, so I need to close this thing.
Yes, even if you close also, it will not give any error. So that is the main meaning. Also, you are hard coding the value. So even though you are trying to return from here, you can keep return statements here also. So let's suppose just comment out. Right now we saw the three rules, right? One is here, one is finally, one is try. So there is some other fourth rule. I will tell you. Just comment it out here. Let's suppose you have, so far you have not written value anywhere.
Anyway, yes.
You have to return at least from here. This is one rule. Okay, let's suppose there is some exception came. Still see error is there. You are returning here or you have to return from here also. Then only compiler will execute. Let's suppose you don't want to return value here. So just imagine there is, if exception will come, so control will come here and it will execute. After that, try to return 101. This is one possible scenario. Let's suppose if there is some other possible exception is there here also. So just keep here. Now compiler will success. So if program executed successfully, then this will return. Let's suppose if this exception will come, this will return. Let's suppose this exception will come, this value will be written. So always we are returning some value.
Okay.
So this one you got it right. This rule number 4. So this is the way to return values whenever you are writing try catch. Whether you have to return inside try and all possible catches, one rule. Whether try to return value inside try and after finally or inside the finally.
Okay, I have a quick question. One is
Yeah,
that
yeah, tell me.
in the second method, actually, we added the static. You have
Okay, yes, yeah. So what is the purpose of the static? This method is static, right?
Yep.
So inside the static method, if you want to access any other methods, it should be static.
Okay, yeah, good, I got it.
This is, let's suppose just I remove static. See, it is telling it will not allow. We cannot make static reference into the non-static methods. So this is a non-static method. So you are not able to call directly. If you want to call this method, you have to create an object here. Object means like this. I have to create new manager. Sorry. Dot. I have to call. So now what I did here, just I created an object and I call this method. If it is not a static. If it is a static, you can able to call directly.
Can you say that again, please?
Yeah. Let's suppose now this is not a static method.
Okay,
Okay. But still I want to call this method inside this method. I mean inside static method.
starting method.
So static inside in any method, if you want to call from static method, that this method must be a static method or you have to create an object.
Okay,
So this is a rule basically.
so we are actually creating an object inside the sys out, or we can create a separate.
Yeah, you can create separate also. That is not a problem. Let's suppose I will split this step into two parts. So first what I have to do, I have to store this reference to
Yeah.
either this one and this one, both are equal. And after that what I had to do, I had to call the obj dot get and I had to send some number, and whatever value I am getting I need to store into integer x equal to, then I had to print the x here. So that these two steps I have written in single line, both are
Single.
equal.
Okay.
So here if I write here directly new exception manager dot get average and directly I'm printing the value, I'm not saving this x anywhere, just I'm printing, both are equal. So if you run it, you will get, so now there is some exception came. So no, what is the input? 10 by 1000, not exception, 10 by 1000 by 10 100.
100.
So we are returning 100. So if let's suppose if you will pass as a 0 and now exception will come. What exception will come?
The
Arithmetic
exception
exception.
or arithmetic actually.
So what value you will get? 102. So always TB will be closed and you will get some value.
Right.
So that is the main purpose of try, catch and finally, and this is the rules we need to take care whenever you are trying to return the value. Okay, there
Uh,
are, yeah, tell me.
One thing is that when you were writing the catch, so there is something, suppose array arithmetic. So
Okay,
uh, how many option actually we usually have,
so
suppose in the catch?
so that is based on how many number of lines you are writing. So that lines, what are the possible exceptions will come here. So here did I writing any array here?
No.
No, in that case this exception is not required. If you are dealing with any arrays, then you have to write.
Yeah. Now I'm asking that suppose in the catch, after catch, you got a bracket the arithmetic exceptions. When you are
Okay.
just writing it coming out. So uh, so many kind of things
Yes,
actually
yes.
can
There is no limit.
limit.
There is no
Oh,
limit. You can write n number of exceptions. Otherwise, there is another way. If you want to handle for all kind of exceptions, you can handle exception exception. So exception is a super class, so it can able to hold all kind of exceptions.
okay.
But this is a generic one. It's not a specific one.
Yeah, that's a generic one.
Uh, so let's suppose if you want to write a generic one, so first should be generic. Now see here, it is not compiling.
Right.
So why? Because if whatever exception will come, always it will go to the exception. It will not go to the arithmetic.
Okay.
So first you have to write the generic one,
Then come for,
then specific. Sorry, first you have to write a specific one, then generic one. So first let's suppose here, if any arithmetic exception will come, it will go to here. Let's suppose there is some array index bound came here, but
okay.
we are not providing any array index bound. So exception will handle in that situation. Why? Because this is a generic one.
Right.
So this is one rule we have to take care. First specific exception. After that, at the end, you can provide generic exception.
Right.
Okay. Okay. This is so far it's clear. Okay. Now I will write another class. So far we are dealing with all existing exception, arithmetic exception, array index out of bound exception. So these are the exception we are dealing and we are seeing, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let me go back to some different class. So the class name I am trying to give through manager. Just finish it.
Is another exception. No?
Yes, it's another exception. I'll tell you. Okay.
Yeah.
So far what we are doing. So I want to create one method here. Public integer get average. So here it is expecting some number. After that, integer avg equal to 0, and finally I'm returning average.
Average.
Okay, this is fine. Okay,
Yes.
finally I'm returning average, and this average I want to call from here
Static.
static. So I will keep this one as a static.
Static. Just simple.
Okay,
Yeah.
then just simple, just make it simple, and I need to pass some number. So it is, this line is executing successfully, and let's suppose return number by average, not average, 1000 by number. So this one is not required. So directly I'm calculating average and I'm returning.
Right.
So 1000 by number average it will calculate and it will return. So there is a chance here it may throw arithmetic exception, right?
Right.
But program this there is no compilation issue. It is successfully it's compiling, right? Did you see any compilation error here?
No.
No. So there is no compilation error. So these exceptions we used to call it as a non-compiler exceptions. So whatever exception so far we saw arithmetic exception, index out of bound exception. This one we used to call it as a non-compiler exceptions. So compiler don't know these exceptions. So
Okay.
there may be a chance here arithmetic exception, but compiler don't know. Only the programmer knows these exceptions, arithmetic exception and array index out of bound exception. Only programmer can able to understand. Can able to guess. So let's
Oh,
suppose here I want to write there is a statement. So here, what is the purpose of this line? This line generally it is right now you don't know this one. Just assume what it will do. It will create an object basically. Whatever the class you are passing here,
Okay.
so it will create an object and it will return.
Okay.
So that is the main purpose of this line. See here, it's giving some compiler exception. Compiler will giving some exception. So it is telling unhandled exception type class not found exception. So whenever you are using this method, you have to provide try catch. Otherwise, the compiler will not allow to compile this program. These exceptions, the exception type also it will tell. See, this is the exception. We have to write a try catch, and with followed by this kind of exception. See,
Okay.
unhandled. We are not handling any exception for this line. Otherwise, if you are not providing try catch for this line, the compiler will not allow to compile this program. So let me provide. So this kind of exception we used to call it as a compiler type exception.
Okay.
The previous one, whatever we saw, it's not compiler exception. It's a
Right.
compiler exception, non-compiler exception. There is two types of exceptions.
So non-compiler one, actually, how can we identify that that is non-compiler? It
Uh,
may be the result,
yeah, that is I told you to like arithmetic exception and array index out of bound exception. Just by seeing the exception, we have to by seeing your code, you have to guess and you have to provide exception handling.
Okay, this is based on the developer, whatever while
Yes,
coding.
correct. But that is based on developer knowledge. Some kind of code, right? Whatever you have written, compiler can able to guess. So this is one example, compiler exception.
Right.
So this is compiler exception, and the previous one, whatever we saw, like it's a runtime exception, basically arithmetic exception and array index out of bound of. So that will come when you are running the program, right?
Yes.
So basically two kind of exception, runtime exception and compiler exception. So this exception we used to call as a compiler exception.
Right.
Okay, so I will need to provide try catch. So the catch is class not found. You have to provide definitely that exception only.
Okay.
So this is the way to handle the compiler exceptions. So for compiler exception, definitely you have to provide try catch. Let's suppose here I don't want to provide, I want to provide the arithmetic exception. See here, it's not allowing to compile. So definitely you have to provide this exception. Otherwise the compiler will not allow to compile this program.
Okay.
So now I will provide, just I will go back. So now it will go, it will successful. Okay, now I will call this program. Sorry, I will run this program and let's see what value we will get. See, exception is occurring, and see here, do you see that some exception is coming?
Yes.
But the end user don't know the exception basically here. So when if something happened, right? So we need to inform to the user who is calling this method, right? We need to inform exception occurred. So the same way, if you see if you insert your ATM, right? If that is not working, there is some issue occurred. Please try again later.
Right.
So we are displaying some message, right? So how they know some issue occurred? If they are not able to connect any server, the timeout occurred, timeout error, something we are displaying, right? So
Yeah.
that is the way to convey the message to the user. So if any exception occurred here, so we need to throw the exception to the user.
Okay.
So then the user knows also this program, this method is failed. So we didn't get proper results. So now what we are doing, we are returning some 100 by a number. So here we should not return any logic here. So let's suppose main logic should be there inside try.
Okay.
avg equal to 100, and here we need to return average. So this is the main funda. So now let me run it. So now exception is coming, it is executing, but what value we are getting here? Average. Average, let's suppose, let me write first statement as a this one. Just let me move it. So now let me run it. Now we will see that example properly.
Okay.
See here, now what is happening? Now we are getting average properly?
Yes.
Or we are getting wrong value?
Sorry, yeah. You're getting the 0. Yeah.
0.
Yes.
But average is 100.
100.
But we are getting 0.
0.
So this is not the right way to handling the exception handling. So first what happened, first this line is executing and this line is creating some exception.
Okay.
And it is coming to here.
Right.
It is catch is executing, and after that we are returning average. So what is the default value of average?
Is 0.
So we are returning default value, but this is not the correct value.
Correct value.
It's not executed basically. So if you comment this line, so it will see if I comment this line, what it's telling. So unreachable. So you provided a catch block, but there is no piece of code which will return this kind of exception.
Okay.
So this exception we used to call it a compiler time exception. So whenever you are writing any compiler exception, definitely you have to write corresponding piece of line which will raise that kind of exception.
Okay.
So you are writing an exception class and there is no such kind of code here.
Okay.
So that's what compiler is telling. Please write which code will raise this exception. So let me enable this one. So this is fine. Okay, this is another rule. And here now the problem is when any exception will come, we are not sending or we are not conveying to the end user any message.
Right.
Basically so if any exception will come, we need to throw back to the user. So whatever exception you are getting, just throw to the user.
Okay.
So we need to write here throw, and the same exception we have to write here. Then we need to throw here. What kind of exception we are throwing? We need to write here. So far this method is clear. This method is perfect. So there is no error in this method, right? So if any exception will come, then what we are doing? Just we are rethrowing to the user. So we have to throw at the same exception what you got, and also we have to write here same exception. You got it right? This one. What is the purpose of throw?
Okay. Okay. As I understand, throw actually when we are using the.
So whatever the exception getting in your program, the same exception you have to throw back to the user.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Yep.
So here, right? So whenever if the user want to call this method, user need to provide try catch for this method. Try. See now it's not compiling. Did you see there? So this method is giving LC unhandled exception type class cast exception. So why? Because whenever you are calling this method, so definitely you have to provide try catch followed by the same exception type. So to compile this one, what I have to do? Try, and inside the try I have to call the get, and after that what I have to do? I have to provide the catch block. Inside the catch I have to write the e. So here I need to display e dot get message. So here I need to call the now let me see. Now it is compiler successful. So now the compiler knows, let's suppose if this method throws any exception, so it will come to here and we are displaying that message.
Right.
So let me run it and we will see. Now did you see there?
Yeah.
So exception, let me write here. Let me run. See, did you see there? So first our method is failed, get average is failed. So we are displaying exception colon some message. Okay,
Right.
and we are calling this method and it is failed. It is executing this catch block, program failed, and some message.
Yes.
So now everywhere we are giving some proper message. So our get average method also giving some exception message, and also the client also knows if any exception will come. Client also can able to understand program failed and this is the exception message.
Right.
So this is the way to throw the exception to the user. So if you want to throw the exception, we have to use the throw keyword, and the same throws we have to use, and we have to mention the same exception type.
Right.
So that is the difference between throw and throws. Here throw and here throws. So let's suppose here I have written some other catch block which is giving arithmetic exception. E. And here also I want to write throw E. So then how many exceptions you are throwing here, that many
Exception goes there.
yes. So also end user they have to provide the such kind of exception also.
Okay.
What is this exception? Arithmetic. Now everywhere it is clear, right? So user if user got this arithmetic exception, so user will see this message.
Right.
So user will display corresponding, user can display his own message. Right. So in ATM we will see timeout, unable to connect server, please try later. You will see the message properly in ATM.
Okay.
Low balance, there is no funds to transfer, there is no funds to retrieve. So this is a proper message, but behind the code, right, they are throwing the exception.
Okay. Yeah.
So what is the advantage of this throwing the exception? If you throw the exception, let's suppose after the catch block there is 1,000 lines is there. Here just assume 1,000 lines is there. If you throw this exception, these 1,000 lines will not execute.
Why?
So some exception occurred, right? So why you are executing these 1,000 lines? It's not required, right? You will save your time.
Okay. Yeah.
So in between program failed, so we should not execute rest of the lines.
Just skip it. Yeah.
Just skip it. So you will save time.
Right.
So that is the main purpose of throwing the exception. The same way, if you insert your ATM card and if you are trying to withdraw some $1,000, let's suppose there is only $100 in your account. First what they will do? First they will check whether funds is there or not in your ATM.
Right.
If no funds, then immediately they will throw the exception at the first line itself. So then they will not do like a debit from your account and you do some ATM, hardware operation, retrieve the cash, all those things. So that is the next lines. Debiting the amount and doing hardware operations, picking the cash and selecting the notes. Like we need to select 10 notes or 100 notes, dollars kind of. There is some other logic is there.
Okay.
Right. So like we need to debit the amount from your account, and we need to pick the corresponding notes inside the ATM machine, like corresponding notes like hundreds or tens. So that logic no need to execute, right, if there is no fund.
Yes.
It's unnecessary to execute all those things. So just throw the exception, and inside the ATM you will see no enough funds.
Right.
So that is the way to convey the message by using throw and throws. So here, what kind of throw? Here no sufficient funds, and here server not able to connect. So different catch blocks you use, and corresponding message you will display.
Okay.
Okay. So far it's clear, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now so far what we are seeing, these are existing exceptions like arithmetic exception, class not found. Always we are saying, I mean, existing exception. Let's suppose I want to write my own exception, like no enough funds exception.
Okay.
So how to write our own exception class?
Supply and that catch.
Yes. So first we have to write. So this arithmetic exception already they are inside the Java. See here, Java.lag. So this is part of JDK software.
Okay.
It's developed by Sun Microsystem. See, but how to write our own exception class? So that one we will see in next example.
Okay.
So this is clear, right? Throw and throws.
Yeah, I'm clear. Actually, I'll see these things. If I think I have something else, I have to repeat next time.
Okay,
Okay.
fine. You can watch this video, and
Yeah.
any questions we will
I
discuss.
understand completely, but uh, I think that I'm okay for now. But if I get
Yeah,
some,
fine. So you need to practice it so that you will be comfortable.
right.
Okay. Now what I want to show, user defined exception.
Okay.
So I want to write my own exception. I don't want to use arithmetic exception. I don't want to use array index out of bound exception. I don't want to use class not found exception. I want to use my own exception.
Okay.
So how to, I mean, handle how to create your own exception. So I want to create my own exception called, this is a class, no funds exception, not enough funds.
Okay.
So this is my class, not enough funds exception. So far we saw all arithmetic exception, all those things. So this is my own exception. So, and okay, first this is my class. Okay. So now what I want to do here, I want to write one method called get amount.
Okay.
And for this, for get amount, input is account number. So it will return integer,
Integer.
and just assume this is a static method,
Starting.
and it's supposed to return
Integer values.
some number, just
Yeah.
1000. So far it is clear, right? So if you pass your account number, so you will get corresponding amount.
No.
Okay. So
Yes.
far it is clear. Okay, this method I want to call here,
Yes.
integer amount equal to, and I need to give the ATM number, sorry, some account number.
Okay.
So this is the, so if you give your account number you will get amount.
Yeah.
So far it's clear, right? So after that I want to display amount received, amount received successfully, and the corresponding amount.
Okay.
So oh sorry, set and copied. So this is clear, right?
Yes.
So if you give account number you will get your amount. So right
Yes.
now I'm hard coding the amount. So just write simple logic. If account number equal to return
This amount.
some $100.
Okay.
Else
It gives
return some zero.
some zeros.
Zero. So this is simple logic. Basically here we need to check with the database for this account number, funds is there or not. If funds is there, we have to return the amount. If no funds, we have to return no funds, something, some message.
Right.
And after that we need to close the database.
Database.
So because we are connecting with a lot of servers now, we have to close the connections.
Yes.
Okay, we have to close the connections. So but here we should not return arithmetic exception or array index or board exception. So we have to return some user friendly message, and that is our own message.
Right.
So what we have to do is, also here we are interacting with the database, right? So we need to provide try catch, try and catch. And here the catch is just I want to write my own exception here. So this is the exception E. After that, what I want to do, I want to throw the exception. So if this exception, in case if this exception occurred, what I had to do, I had to rethrow the throws same exception.
Some exceptions.
Throws. So so far it's clear, right? So I have written a simple exception, my own class. So catch, and after that I'm throwing the exception. After that I am throws. I have written throws, and I'm trying to throw back this exception to the user. But see here, there is a compilation errors. See here, no exception of type, not enough funds exception. So basically, it is telling it is not an exception class. It is telling it is not a proper exception class. It is a class, perfect, but this is not a type of exception. So for that purpose, what we have to do, we have to modify this class extends exception.
Okay. So we are creating
Our own user-defined exception. So after that, there is a default constructor is there. This is a class, right? So inside the class, we have to create a exception. We have to take a message string. I will tell you what is the purpose of this message. I mean, these fields. After that, we have to call the super and message. Okay, so far it's clear, right? So what it's telling,
still showing some
there is some error is there. I will tell you what is the purpose of this slide. So this is the exception class. So here there is no errors, right? In this class there is no errors. Fine. Warning is there. Warning is there. It's telling no enough. What is the warning? You know, the serializable class enough does not declare. Okay. So whenever you are writing here, there is a concept called serialization. Okay, I will clear the warning, but you will not understand that one why it is coming. What is the purpose? Okay, now there is no warning. Did you see? There is no warning, right?
Yes.
Okay, this one not right now you will not understand. I will tell you later. What is the
Okay.
purpose of this public static void final long? Right now you don't know what is. There is some lot of mini history is there for this keyword serial version event. There is a lot of history is there. That's the next concept. I will tell you later. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So now there is no error in this class. And see here there is some error is there. Unreachable cache block for not enough founds. This exception is never thrown the try block, try statement body. So you are declaring an exception, but you are never throwing this corresponding exception in your line. Then why you are declaring? That's what compiler is telling.
Okay.
So you are declaring the exception, so that is fine, but you are never throwing any type of that exception. Why you are rethrowing? So
Okay.
this that's the error. So this is the one. So let's suppose if the account number is 1818, return the amount. If the account number is anything else, just throw the exception.
Right.
Throw this kind of exception. New exception, and we have to pass the message.
Right.
Not NOUGH, not enough funds in your account. So for let's suppose here we are checking if else condition, but in real time they will connect with the database and they will get the amount and they will see this condition is amount is greater than or equal to.
Okay.
And if amount is less than 0, then they will throw this exception. But we are writing some simple condition and we are throwing the exception. And inside the finally block, we have to close the database
Data.
connection always. It's a block. So here we need to close the. Okay. So far it's good, right? So now our own exception we have written and we are throwing, we are using throws, and user also have to provide this try catch.
Yeah.
See if you see
So,
this method, right, it's telling unhandled exception type not enough funds exception.
okay.
Okay, we have to write here try catch for this statement. So what we used to do generally, we used to write try catch all those things, right? So we are doing some manual work. So what is, just keep here cursor. See here
Yeah.
there is two options, add throws
And
or surround
surround.
try catch. Just click this one.
Okay.
The Eclipse will write this default code.
Okay.
So that will give to you.
Yep.
Okay, just declare default amount equal to 0 and display this line inside the try. So once you reach the amount, once you receive the amount,
Yep.
just display it.
Display. If
So
not,
let's
then
suppose if any exception will come, write your own message unable to retrieve the amount colon
yeah,
corresponding message.
that is yes.
So it is telling not able to retrieve plus is clear plus e dot. Fine. Okay. So if the whenever you receive the amount, then just display the amount. Okay.
Right.
Let's suppose if some exception came, the exception type is not enough funds, then display the proper message, unable to retrieve the message, amount, and corresponding message. So what
Right.
message you are getting from the server? Just assume this is a server and this is a ATM machine.
Okay.
So if server is whatever server is returning that message and corresponding your own message.
Okay.
So server is returning not enough funds in your account. Okay, now let me run it and we will see what we will get. So now DB closed successfully and amount received successfully $100.
Right.
Okay, let's suppose now I want to give some different my account number. I had given now my account number as a input and let me run it. See now DB closed successfully and what is the message? Unable to retrieve the amount, not enough funds in your account.
Right.
So this is the way. So this is ATM customization message.
Right.
But server is giving this message. This is up to you whether you want to display or not.
Not.
So if you don't want to display this message, you can write your own message.
Okay.
So this is the way to write user-defined exceptions. So whenever you want to write user-defined exception, first you have to create a class, and that class must implement of type exception or any type. Right now we have an arithmetic exception, right?
Yeah.
So you can implement arithmetic exception also. Why? Because arithmetic exception is subclass of exception.
Exception. Right.
So runtime exception it is telling. If you go to runtime exception, so runtime is subclass of exception.
Exceptions. So exception is the generic one, and the
Generic
other
one, yes. Exception is a generic one, and under exception there is two types of exception: runtime exception and compiler exception.
right.
So based on that, based on your usage, you can decide what kind of exception you want to create. You can select some existing exception and you can override it.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Right? So this is the way to create an exception. After that, what you have to write, we have to define a constructor which is having a one string message. Okay, and just throw this, use the super message, super, and this whatever message you are writing here, passing here, so that we have to define a string argument constructor. Why? Because see here we are writing some message, right?
Yeah.
So whatever line you are writing here, so that will go to the end user. So let's suppose I will write here some xxxs. I will
Okay.
run this program again. See here xxxs.
Right.
So whatever line you are writing here, the user, it will be part of the user message.
Yeah.
So like that you can customize your own message and you can throw back to the user.
Okay.
So this is a way to write like our own exceptions.
Yes.
So this is clear, right?
Clear. Yeah. I think that today's class actually I have to repeat sometimes myself.
Yes, yes, that's correct. So anyway, I
Yeah.
will upload this video now itself, so you can verify tomorrow.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Even yeah. I actually I was trying to get all the informations when you were giving me, and then I'm repeating.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, I think I have to go a little more in depth. So then I think if I have any confusion, so I
Yeah,
can
fine,
try.
fine. We will discuss tomorrow. If you have any questions, we will discuss tomorrow first. After that, we will go to next topic.
Yes. Yeah. If I get videos, and then of course I'll go through it, and then I can raise it.
Yeah.
So I understand, but
Mhm.
something actually I think that I have to
Yes, yes,
repeat.
I can understand. So you need to, visit this video again some 1 or 2 times so that you will be clear.
Yes.
So if
Yes.
you,
Yes.
yes, you can see these videos again and again. And if you have any questions, we will discuss tomorrow first. After that, we will go to the next topic.
Right.
Okay. Basically, tomorrow what we will see,